This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute professional medical advice. Please consult with your doctor or a qualified healthcare specialist before starting any new vitamins or supplements mentioned in this video. Use of this information is at your own risk. You are shrinking. Not in height, though that may happen too, but in substance. In this very moment, as you listen to my voice, there is a silent, predatory process occurring inside your limbs called sarcopenia. It is the biological equivalent of a house being stripped of its wooden frame while the residents are still inside. Your body, in its desperate attempt to maintain its internal organs, has begun to harvest your muscle tissue for energy. It is a slow-motion catastrophe that most people mistake for just getting older. But let me be clear, this is not a natural part of aging you should ever accept. It is a theft of your future. If you do not stop this cycle today, you are essentially signing away your right to walk, your right to travel, and your right to live without a caretaker. Welcome to ElderFit Nutrition. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. Before we go any further into this dark reality, please subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue bringing these life-changing truths to seniors around the world who are fighting for their independence. The tragedy of muscle loss after 60 is that it is invisible until the moment of impact. You might notice that the stairs feel a bit steeper, or that opening a jar of pickles has become a Herculean task. You tell yourself you're just tired. But what is actually happening is that your fast-twitch muscle fibers, the ones responsible for catching you when you stumble, are dying off. When these fibers disappear, they are replaced by fat and fibrous tissue. You may weigh the same on the scale, but your internal structure is becoming hollow. This is why a simple trip over a rug, something you would have laughed off at 40, becomes a life-altering disaster at 65. The muscle isn't there to stabilize you. The strength isn't there to break the fall. This isn't just about looking frail. It is about the loss of the human engine. Without muscle, your metabolism craters. Your body loses its ability to regulate blood sugar, leading to a downward spiral of inflammation and disease. We often focus so much on the heart and the brain that we forget the very thing that carries them through the world. Muscle is the largest endocrine organ in your body. When it wastes away, your entire hormonal balance collapses. You feel colder, you feel slower, and eventually you feel like a stranger in your own skin. The cost of indifference to this process is the most expensive price a human can pay, the loss of freedom. Most people realize this only when they are staring at a walker or a wheelchair, realizing that the muscle they took for granted is gone forever. But you have a choice to make before that countdown reaches 0. Think about your daily life and answer this honestly for yourself. Which of these scares you more? A, the fear of falling and never being able to stand up on your own again. B, the fear of becoming a physical burden to the people you love most. Please comment A or B below. I want to see where your heart is, because knowing what you fear most is the first step in building the strength to overcome it. For years, the standard response to the aches, the weakness, and the dragging fatigue of aging has been a cabinet full of pills. Perhaps you have been prescribed anti-inflammatories for your stiff joints, or maybe you've reached for generic multivitamins hoping they would bridge the gap. But there is a profound, almost clinical silence regarding why these solutions so often fail to bring back the vitality you remember. The hard truth is that you cannot medicate your way out of a structural collapse. Most of the interventions offered to seniors today are nothing more than high-priced Band-Aids placed over a gaping wound. They are designed to quiet the pain or mask the symptom, but they do absolutely nothing to address the biological engine that is currently failing. When you take a pill to dull the discomfort in your legs, you are essentially cutting the wire to a smoke alarm while the kitchen is still on fire. The pain is a signal that your muscle-nerve connection is fraying. By numbing that signal, you lose the last remaining warning your body can give you. Furthermore, many of the medications commonly prescribed for senior ailments, from certain blood pressure meds to cholesterol-lowering statins, have been documented in clinical research to actually accelerate muscle weakness or cause muscle pain as a side effect. You find yourself in a vicious cycle, taking a drug to fix one problem, only for that drug to quietly erode the very muscle mass you need to stay mobile. It is a pharmaceutical trap that treats the human body like a collection of isolated parts rather than a deeply connected system. Even the world of supplements is fraught with half-truths. Many seniors are told to just eat more calcium for their bones, but without a strong muscular corset to support those bones, they remain incredibly vulnerable. Or perhaps you've tried the generic protein shakes found on grocery store shelves, only to find they do little more than cause bloating. This is because after 60, your body develops what we call anabolic resistance. It becomes stubborn. It no longer responds to nutrients the way it did in your 30s. Simply throwing random vitamins at the problem is like trying to fix a complex computer by pouring electricity over it. It requires a specific targeted protocol that accounts for your aging digestive system and your declining kidney function. We have been conditioned to look for the quick fix in a bottle, but muscle is a living, breathing tissue that requires more than chemistry. It requires a fundamental shift in how you fuel and move your body. If you are waiting for a miracle drug to restore the strength in your thighs or the grip in your hands, you are waiting for a ghost. The research is clear. The only way to reverse the decline is to stop treating your body like a passive recipient of medicine and start treating it like a biological machine that requires specific high-grade components. The errors in our current treatment of seniors are not just mistakes. They are a failure of vision that leaves millions of people weak and dependent when they should be thriving. We must stop looking for the answer in the pharmacy and start looking at the foundation of human biology. The danger you face is not a sudden explosion of illness, but a creeping, invisible peril that thrives on your silence and your assumptions. When you allow your body to remain in a state of nutritional bankruptcy, you are not just eating less because you are older. You are withdrawing the very structural support that keeps you upright. The hazard of protein and nutrient deficiency in your 60s is a betrayal of the self. Every time you ignore the need for high-quality building blocks, you are choosing a future defined by fragility and fear. This is the stage where the risk of permanent loss of mobility becomes a mathematical certainty rather than a distant possibility. Consider the terrifying reality of the post-fall spiral. For an adult over 60, a fall is rarely just a fall. It is often the final chapter of independence. When your muscles are starved of the essential nutrients they require to stay dense and reactive, they lose their ability to serve as your body's primary shock absorbers. Without that muscular shield, the force of a stumble is transferred directly into your bones and joints. A fractured hip at this age carries a mortality rate that is staggering, not because the bone won't knit, but because the muscle mass required to recover and walk again simply no longer exists. You cannot rebuild a skyscraper once the foundation has turned to sand. Furthermore, this invisible peril extends to your metabolic health. Your muscles are your body's largest reservoir for clearing blood sugar. When they waste away due to neglect, your system becomes flooded with excess glucose, triggering a cascade of inflammation that ravages your nerves and your heart. This is the hidden cost of getting thin as you age. It is not health, it is the slow erosion of your biological resilience. You might feel light, but you are actually becoming hollow. The most heartbreaking part of my work is seeing individuals who realize the value of their physical strength only after they had crossed the threshold of no return, the point where the body has lost so much regenerative capacity that even the most intensive intervention cannot restore the ability to climb a single flight of stairs. This physical decline is a prison of your own making, built one neglected meal at a time. The independence you cherish today is being traded for a future of confinement, and the window to stop this transaction is closing faster than you realize. To bridge the gap between this looming decay and a future of strength, we must move beyond the vague advice of eating well and look at the uncompromising science of the human frame. The foundation of muscle recovery after 60 is built on a specific biological blueprint that your body can no longer generate on its own. It begins with the understanding that protein is not just a food group, it is a signal. Specifically, the amino acid leucine acts as a molecular on switch for muscle protein synthesis. Without a high enough concentration of this specific amino acid in your bloodstream, your body remains in a state of breakdown, regardless of how many calories you consume. In your younger years, your body was a temple of growth. Now it has become a master of conservation. To force it to rebuild, you must provide the exact high-grade components it can no longer manufacture. This scientific recovery also demands a deep focus on the nervous system, which acts as the pilot for your muscular engine. This is where the synergy of B vitamins becomes foundational. Vitamin B12 is the primary architect of the myelin sheath, the protective insulation that allows electrical signals to travel from your brain to your muscle fibers with lightning speed. When this insulation frays due to deficiency, your muscles may still exist, but they become unplugged, leading to the staggering gait and loss of coordination that precedes a life-changing fall. Paired with this is the role of vitamin B6, which facilitates the production of neurotransmitters required for muscle contraction. Without these, your strength is nothing more than a stalled engine. Finally, we must address the internal rust that accumulates in aging muscle tissue. This is where alpha-lipoic acid serves as a critical biological cleaner. As a powerful antioxidant, it penetrates the mitochondria of your muscle cells to neutralize the oxidative stress that actively dissolves your strength. It protects the cellular energy factories, ensuring that the protein you consume is actually converted into movement rather than waste. This is the intersection of nutrition and survival. Rebuilding your body at this stage is not an act of vanity. It is a calculated, scientific intervention to reclaim your biological right to move. You are providing the raw materials for a restoration project that will determine whether you spend your next decade exploring the world or being confined to the four walls of a single room. Your muscles are waiting for the signal. It is up to you to provide the spark. The final step in reclaiming your life is not found in a pill bottle, but in the deliberate, calculated resistance you apply to your own body. You must understand that walking, while beneficial for the heart, is simply not enough to stop the rot of sarcopenia. To save your independence, you must engage in resistance training. Your muscles need a reason to exist. They need to be told, through the language of physical tension, that they are still required for survival. When you lift a weight, stretch a band, or push against gravity, you are sending a frantic distress signal to your brain that says, "Do not harvest this tissue. We still need it." This mechanical stress is the only language your body understands when it comes to rebuilding the frame. However, this is not about reckless effort. It is about precision. Working with a qualified professional who understands the aging anatomy is essential. They can identify the specific muscle groups that have surrendered and teach you how to wake them up without compromising your joints. This targeted movement does something no supplement can. It forces oxygen-rich blood into the deep recesses of your muscle fibers, clearing out metabolic waste and delivering the nutrients we discussed earlier. It is a beautiful biological synergy. Nutrition provides the bricks, but resistance training is the architect that tells the body where to build the walls. This is your roadmap to a life of agency. It requires a shift in identity, from a passive observer of your own decline to an active participant in your restoration. Every repetition you perform is a vote for a future where you can still stand tall, walk without fear, and remain the master of your own movements. The window for this intervention is open, but it is narrowing every day. The choice to start today is the difference between a decade of discovery and a decade of confinement. You have the science, you have the strategy, and now you must have the resolve to move. We have traveled a difficult path together today, from the shocking reality of how easily our strength can slip away to the empowering science of how we can force it to return. It is often said that aging is a series of subtractions, a slow losing of things we once took for granted. But what I hope you have realized through this journey is that while we cannot stop the clock, we can absolutely change the way we move through time. The decline that is often called normal is actually a state of neglect that we have the power to interrupt. You are not a passenger on a ship that is inevitably sinking. You are the captain, and you still have your hand on the wheel. The deepest lesson here is that physical strength is the fundamental currency of human dignity. Without the ability to move, our world shrinks. Our social circles grow smaller, our adventures cease, and our sense of self begins to fade. By choosing to prioritize your muscle health and your nutrition, you are making a profound statement that your life still has immense value and that you refuse to go quietly into the shadows of frailty. You are choosing to remain a vibrant, active participant in the lives of those you love. To apply this to your life starting tomorrow, do not attempt to change everything at once. Begin with one high-quality protein source at every meal. Find a local professional who can guide you through 3 simple resistance movements. Most importantly, change the way you speak to yourself about your body. Stop saying you are too old for strength and start recognizing that you are too wise to let it waste away. This is the foundation of a new chapter, one where you are defined by what you can still do rather than what you have lost. You have the tools, the knowledge, and the right to be strong. Now, I would love to hear from you. It helps everyone in our community to see the different perspectives and goals we all share. Please answer this simple question in the comments below. What is one activity or hobby you are determined to keep doing for the next 20 years? Whether it's gardening, traveling, or playing with your grandkids, let us know. Your answer might just be the spark of inspiration someone else needs today. If you found this information valuable, please subscribe to ElderFit Nutrition. Your support is what gives us the motivation to keep creating these deep dive guides to help you live your strongest, most independent life. We are in this together, and I will see you in the next one.